The purpose of this video is to inform individuals working in Kentucky's dairy industry about requirements related to milk receiving station activities. This information should be helpful to you if you work in a milk receiving area, or if you deliver milk or other products to dairy plants. After viewing this video and receiving supplemental training, you should be familiar with the requirements regarding the need for thorough record reviews, proper sampling methods, equipment cleaning procedures, and other general receiving area activities. This information should help you successfully complete the required written examination so you can attain your Kentucky Sampler's license and permit. Among the most critical jobs in the dairy plant are those of the milk sampler and receiver. You work in an area of the facility that is frequently visited by suppliers, transport vehicles, and inspectors. You are responsible, in part, for determining whether or not a load of milk is acceptable for your plant to receive. Without proper knowledge and training, a plant could easily receive a shipment of poor quality milk. Thus, your responsibilities should be taken very seriously. As an employee of the dairy industry, you should convey a good, clean image. Always wear clean clothing when performing your duties. Be sure to abide by your plant's policies regarding safety equipment, jewelry, and other items such as the use of hairnets. Wear slip-proof safety shoes that are resistant to water and sanitizers, and never eat food or use tobacco in the receiving area. Use good overall hygiene, and frequently wash your hands. Remember, you are responsible for handling a food product, so sanitation and cleanliness is paramount. As a receiver, you are one of the first lines of defense for the dairy processor. You should be keenly aware of what is occurring in your work area. Question the presence of unusual visitors and ask for identification if necessary. Be sure to document and report any unusual behavior or unknown visitors in your vicinity. Unauthorized individuals should not have access to your work area or to unattended trucks on the plant's parking lot. Finally, make sure your work area is well lit and maintained in a clean sanitary condition. Frequently evaluate your equipment for proper operation, and make sure you have the proper supplies for routine receiving area activities. A major area of concern for most facilities is the proper operation of the offloading system and the clean-in-place, or CIP, system. Be sure that your system is set to place offloaded product in the proper vessel, and monitor the volume, pressure, temperature, and use of cleaners and sanitizers with the CIP system. Let's review some other basic equipment and supplies you will need to perform your work. A good supply of cleaning and sanitizing solution, brushes or other cleaning pads, an accurate thermometer, an approved sampling device, sterile sample containers, and a waterproof pen. Milk receiving stations are also required to provide adequate storage for milk samples. A storage capacity for samples typically representing 3 days bulk milk shipments must be provided. The milk samples must be physically handled and stored in a manner which will maintain their integrity. The type of sample containers used will determine the care necessary to prevent spilled samples or leakers. All samples must be stored within a 32 to 40 degree Fahrenheit temperature range. Sample storage refrigerators must be continually monitored to ensure the proper storage temperature with either an approved recording device or a written record maintained by a licensed person. This record should include date, time, including AM, PM, or military time, temperature, and a licensed person's initials or signature. Problems with sample storage conditions should be well documented and corrected immediately. This is an appropriate time to mention sample chain of custody. Licensed and permitted milk haulers utilize the Universal Sampling System. The Universal Sampling System means samples obtained by the hauler can be used for all routine tests and special tests as required by regulatory agencies and dairy industry milk quality programs. These analyses include tests for antibiotics or drug residues, bacteria, somatic cell counts, added water, butterfat and other components for payment purposes, an evaluation of milk sampling techniques, and many other tests. These are official samples. Anyone who physically handles these samples or who has a responsibility for these samples is required to possess a valid license from UK Regulatory Services and a permit from the Kentucky Milk Safety Branch. If you are a person who is designated with this responsibility at your facility, you should take this responsibility seriously. Maintaining the integrity of official milk samples through sample chain of custody is the only means possible for ensuring the legitimacy of the interstate milk shipment testing programs and producer payment testing programs. After you've determined the receiving area equipment and supplies are in good condition, you are ready to receive milk. When receiving milk, you'll be required to evaluate trucks and records to determine if certain requirements have been met. You will accept or reject a load by determining if the milk appears and smells normal and by taking the temperature of the milk. You will also be responsible for obtaining an official sample that the laboratory will use to perform various tests of milk quality, including antibiotic and bacteriological tests. When the truck arrives, be sure it meets standards set forth by your plant for cleanliness and appearance. Depending on your facility, the truck may need to be weighed prior to pulling into the receiving bay. The truck should have the name of the hauling company prominently displayed on each side of the truck or the rear of the tank. Examine the truck's tank for the tank ID number and inspection sticker. The sticker should be current or identify that the tank has been inspected within the last year. If the sticker is not current, you should ask the hauler to provide you with a current milk tank truck inspection sheet. Evaluate the truck's seals to make sure they meet your plant's criteria. Then examine the tank's wash tag. The wash tag should contain the following information: identification of the milk tank truck, date and time the truck was cleaned and sanitized, location where the truck was cleaned and sanitized, and the signature or initials of the person who cleaned and sanitized the truck. Other information such as truck seal numbers may also be recorded on the wash tag. Carefully review all of this information. Milk should not be transported in a tank that has not been washed and sanitized within the last 72 hours. It is a regulatory requirement that milk and dairy products must be transported in a tank that has been properly washed and sanitized at a permitted facility. The wash tag is documentation that this requirement has been met. This tag must be kept on file at your location for a minimum of 15 days. Examine the construction and style of the tank's cleaning system. Is it a standard tanker or does it have an internal wash system? Make sure that any tanker you unload can be properly cleaned and sanitized at your facility. Next, examine the condition of the hauler's milk samples. The samples should be stored in an ice and water solution in a rack or float. Each sample should be properly identified. Samples accompanying a load of raw farm milk should represent the milk in a truck tank and correspond to the information on the bulk milk ticket. When examining the bulk milk ticket, be sure to look for all the required information, including the hauler's signature and permit number, plant information and delivery date, route identification, BTU numbers, and the truck's K number. Each farm pickup should have the following information documented: producer identification, milk pickup date and time, including AM, PM, or military time, tank gauge reading and weight, and any special comments. After you have determined all of these items meet regulatory requirements and your plant's requirements, it is time to evaluate the milk. Examine the dome area of the truck for cleanliness and check the seals. Carefully open the lid, smell, and visually examine the milk. Report any concerns to the appropriate plant personnel. Use your approved, sanitized thermometer to take the temperature of the milk. Milk is legally acceptable at 45 degrees Fahrenheit. However, many plants have more strict temperature requirements. Now prepare to obtain the tanker sample. Be sure to use a waterproof pen to identify the sterile sample container with specific information regarding the truck you are sampling. Rinse your sanitized dipper in the milk at least twice. This will remove any sanitizing solution on the dipper. Submerge the dipper at least 6 to 8 inches into the milk and fill the container approximately 3/4 full. This allows for airspace to agitate the sample in the laboratory. Remember to fill the container away from the manhole to prevent potential contamination of the load. The sample you obtain from the truck tank is very important. It will be used to test the milk for antibiotics, bacteria, and other tests of milk quality. Handle it with care. The sample should be refrigerated immediately while awaiting testing in the lab. Do not unload any milk unless the load has been approved or cleared. If the milk is rejected due to a positive antibiotic test, the milk must not enter the food chain. If this happens, a responsible person from the laboratory will likely conduct additional official testing, or the load with all samples and appropriate paperwork will be transported to another location. While the truck is in the receiving bay waiting to be unloaded, vent the tank by removing the vent cap and place a clean filter on the manhole lid. Once the load is approved for receiving, connect the unloading hose to the pump and tank. Make sure your receiving bay's unloading system is set to pump the milk to its appropriate designation. Open the valve, start the pump, and unload the tank. Check all hose and pump connections for leaks. After the truck is unloaded, turn off the pump, disconnect the product hose, and attach the CIP hose to the tank and CIP pump. Securely place the washer in the top of the truck and begin the wash cycle. Always double-check to make sure all milk is unloaded whenever you're connecting the CIP system. The rear compartment of the truck must be washed and cleaned. Depending on the facility, these cleaning activities may be performed by the hauler. After the wash and sanitizing cycle is complete, remove the washer from the truck, disconnect the CIP hose from the tank, and allow the tank to drain completely. Close and cap the tank outlet valve, and then place a properly completed wash tag in an appropriate position near the valve. The wash tag should never be completed and attached to the truck until all items are cleaned and assembled, and the proper paperwork has been completed. Remember to properly document the CIP system wash chart. The information on the plant's wash charts and the wash tags placed on truck tanks should match. After all the record-keeping and truck washing and sanitizing activities have been completed, the truck's doors should be closed and sealed. Weigh out the empty truck, complete the remaining paperwork, and you are ready for your next milk shipment. Your responsibilities as milk receiver are important. Your work helps to ensure the security of your plant and the quality of dairy products produced at your plant. Be thoroughly familiar with your responsibilities and stay up to date with your plant's policies and any regulation changes affecting your area. Your employer's ability to produce safe, wholesome dairy products depends on it.